What's going on, everybody? My name is Mike, aka Box from Box and Jackalope, and welcome to episode 4 of the Kun-Lai Campfire. Today I'm joined with Kai and Skull Shorties, and we're going to talk about the Safe Haven cinematic. So welcome, guys.
Yo.
Yeah.
So we're just going to play like the cinematic in whole right now for you, so if you didn't see it, you can watch it, and I'll put a link to the timestamp of where we start our discussion on it, so check it out, guys.
So, this is home now. Home. Family. And where are they? Not far. This world... well, it looks good. But it's wrong. Broken. Falling apart. Just like the Horde. Do you know? Do you know what she's done while you've been hiding? I left that life behind. I'm no one's savior. I will not lead the Horde. I didn't ask. But I hoped you would at least fight for it. You were followed! I followed them. You and I, we don't get to hide.
I think one thing that's been really awesome about Battle for Azeroth in general was, one, the cinematic looked fantastic as usual, and it's really awesome that we're getting a bit of this storyline almost every patch now. I mean, this has been something that started at the beginning of the expansion, and we got the cinematic at BlizzCon, and now we got this one. And out of the three, I just want to say this one was my favorite, but what do you guys think about that?
Obviously, I can't understate like how visually impressive it was.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I do still love the one where Sarfang and Zappy Boy kind of go out on a walk. I still think that one was the best. It was just strangely relatable. But I would say visually that one was by far the best. Yeah.
Right. There was something like really, I guess, artistic about that because of how much meaning I think it had. Like the first one to the player base, because we can all put ourselves in Sarfang's footsteps right there, especially as someone who plays the Huaujin, right? Like I didn't see myself fitting in with Teldrassil at all, so I could definitely relate to what he was feeling about the Horde right there. But I almost at the end of it, I kind of had this mentality that I guess we're all in this together right now, no matter what, because the Horde is all we have,
Right.
And we're all brought into this by Sylvanas, unfortunately. But Skull, what did you think?
Well, on the topic of the three cinematics we've gotten so far, I liked. This one's probably my favorite too, just because one, it's in a Grand, and we haven't seen a Grand in the cinematic since 2007 with the Burning Crusade. And both in cinematic and expansion, it looks so beautiful to see the islands floating and the green and the grass, and the big mountain of Ashogun. That was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
The Thanos grains. If I would have to rate the cinematics, because then this one had a fight in it. This one had Thrall in it, which is already 10 times better than all of them when you have Thrall in it.
Sure.
Chris Metzen's voice back too, good, so good.
Oh yeah, this is our first time seeing Chris Metzen and Thrall back since Legion, that was 2 years ago. It's crazy how much time flies by. But I just like seeing Thrall's little house, and the assassins fighting both Thrall and Sarfang just kicking ass without a weapon. Both of them didn't have weapons, and they still kicked the assassins with full armor and dagger and poison.
And stealth too. They literally caught them while they were invisible.
The assassins did a poor job, but that might have been on purpose. We don't. That's a lot of speculation, right? But I'd say this one's definitely my favorite visually and story-wise. Second probably is, of course, the Sarfang and Zakan moment on the Undercity wall, because very relatable, as you guys said. Again, we were all feeling, oh god, we're going through another bad war chief again. Teldrassil for an orc player feels like Shatrath all over again. For many, people who roleplay orcs, a lot of Night Elf children were killed in those flames, so that's bad on everyone's consciousness. But my least favorite, and it's not really because I don't like it, because all of them are amazing, is probably the one with Sarfang and probably just because it feels very small compared to the other two.
I would second that about it. It feels like just kind of, I don't want to say a minor story moment, but it felt like something that we kind of all knew was going to happen, that you almost could have kept ambiguous with patch 8.1 storyline, and you wouldn't have really noticed anything missing without that. Even if it was just a letter, oh, King Anduin released Sarf, I think everyone kind of knew it was going to happen. But the thing with Thrall and Zakan, I think it was a bit more of a surprise for a lot of players, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Except for me, because I called it months ago. It seemed obvious because he was going from Stonard towards the Dark Portal, which he was like, I need to go find some friends. And all right, who are some friends that are in the Dark Portal? Well, we don't know anybody like that, so maybe Sarfang was gonna go get Thrall.
The legend
and
himself.
His family's there. Yeah.
I didn't, I never called it, but I always speculated, I liked the speculation of it by a lot of people, and that's what I was hoping happened, and I was very happy that's what did wind up happening with Thrall and Sarfang's storyline, because one, I think a lot of people in BFA were kind of wondering where is Thrall throughout all of this, so it's good we're going to have him for the Endgame part of the storyline. That's something I'm really, really happy with, because it's something I've been really thinking about a lot, especially as I was kind of fighting the Alliance in the Battle of Dazar'alor. I don't know why I was just thinking, okay, where's Thrall during all of this? I'm happy to have him back in this storyline.
It's great to have Thrall back. He looks just like his dad.
Oh, so good now too. I love that. I actually love that he represents like he looks more like Durotan now, and it's so good.
He
so
looks
good.
he looks more like an orc and not something else. Like, they didn't have straight back orcs back then. That's why Thrall had that unique model. But now that we have the straight back option, Thrall can look like that, which is it's much more natural, I think. And I really hope that someday he wears the Doom plate again with that new look he has.
I wonder if he'll ever get the Doomhammer back at some point from the player character.
I feel like he deserves it more, but I could go on a tangent about how artifact weapons should return to their rightful owner. I mean, Hadi is safe with me though, so he doesn't count.
Yeah, I don't care about my Odin sword and my warrior. He can take it back at this point. I'm just kidding. The hell yeah sword.
Yeah. So the warrior, I loved my warrior back then, but the warrior storyline didn't really call out to me. I mean, it was cool and then visually impressive. I loved the class hall and stuff, but I didn't really care too much for the artifacts.
The Hunter story didn't have enough Rexar in it, even though they include. I am very disappointed in the lack of Rexar in that story. They recruited him. They didn't even have him in the campaign. What the heck?
I was hoping we'd get like from the warrior order. I was hoping we'd get characters like alternate Gromhell Scream there. Just like every warrior, like even the ghost of like the main universe Hellscream. Like, just every like he was in there in the beta, wasn't he?
Yeah, in the alpha they had Karen's ghost, Rom's ghost. They had Varian. They had Broxigar's niece and Broxigar. They had so many characters. I think it would have been better, but I think Blizzard was worried that their deaths would get demeaned if they did that, which is fair because we just lost Varian, so like, hey, Varian's back. He's a ghost. Anduin can come to the Order Hall and visit him. Like, you can't really do that.
Yeah, that
could be
true.
another. It could be an avenue for like some kind of emotional RP or something like that, maybe.
That would be great for Bane, because Bane's a warrior. Bane could go visit. Oh, and Starfang could visit his son. When you can think about it.
I mean, I know it seems to be different for Pandaren and other races, but I know in Pandaren where it's like as soon as someone dies, they just go look up their ghost right away. It's like with Shang-Chi, he's at the shrine right away. He's like, hey guys, I'm just gonna keep on directing you from the afterlife.
Hey, Emperor Xiaohao, what's up?
Yeah, Emperor Xiaohao, who's just out on the Timeless Isle, being a cool ghost.
So, one of the next things I think we should discuss related to the Safe Haven cinematic. What do you guys think the importance of Sylvanas sending the assassins and Thrall's return to the Horde after going MIA and Legion from the Shamans, like Order Hall? What do you guys think about that?
I would say, for one, I disagree with a lot of people that seem to theorize or were, like, I guess you would say, presume that she sent out weaker, I guess you would say, assassins to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that. I think genuinely the intention was to kill Sarfang or Thrall, or after finding out who they were meeting, or maybe just to root out Thrall's location and then taking him down too before something starts. She seems to be. I don't think she's quite as omnipotent as people seem to think she is. But I could be wrong. There could be some supernatural power or something like that she's using. I don't know. But I do think genuinely the idea was find out who he was meeting, kill him, kill whoever he was meeting, which they were probably like, hey, keep following him until you find Thrall, and then when you find Thrall, off them both. But it didn't go as planned. So, as for the significance of it, I mean, it definitely does seem to say, or seem to suggest that there's kind of a power play still at work. Sylvanas knows that it's not, the Horde's loyalty isn't solidified, and in fact, it's never been more fractured before. It's not outright rebellion yet, but it's getting there. She's got to snuff out those flames before, they burn too bright.
It's gonna get to that point, especially with a figure like Thrall backing the honorable Horde. I mean, I think she of all people knows that's going to be a big problem for her on the long run. I know right now after Bane's trial, she's even gone as far as like spreading propaganda around the general population, so they think that Bane was actually a traitor when he wasn't. I mean, obviously, I don't think the Tauren would, but like just like the general Horde populace, she's making it look like he actually did something bad, which he didn't. And I think this goes to show how far Sylvanas is going to go at this point to stay in power as war chief of the Horde. I mean, I think the fact that she would even consider doing that is just totally messed up. I think she went too far as far back as Teldrassil, but that's a whole nother rant. But what do you guys think?
Well, with the whole thing about did Sylvanas send these really bad assassins to kill Thrall and Sarfang? I know that some people think that they might have just been scouts that were just watching and observing Thrall and his family to ensure that they didn't get involved, because I definitely think that Sylvanas, knowing Thrall, before he got depressed, before he became, how he is now, where he just wants to stay out of it, where he just wants to be with his family. Before that, Thrall definitely would have been curious to see what Sylvanas is doing and what she's doing to his horde. And I think she was waiting for that Thrall to potentially wake up, and like she would send her scouts or her assassins to be like, "Hey, Sylvanas, Thrall's woken up, and now he's gonna go out and challenge you." I think that the point was to potentially snuff that out before it began, basically.
Right.
And I know that a lot of people are like, "Why didn't she send like an army of Dark Rangers and assassins to do the job?" They didn't do their job last time when it was just Sarfang, Zakan, and potentially the hero. I don't think that it would work out the same if it was Thrall and Sarfang. I don't think that would have worked out as well. Like, Sarfang did the exact same thing Thrall did. Sarfang went ahead and hid in Stonard, or near Stonard, in the Swamp of Sorrows, away from everything. He wanted nothing to do with the Horde after that. And again, Sylvanas is, she sent an army to deal with him, and it didn't go so well. And Sarfang was like, "All right, I gotta go fetch Thrall, and we gotta stop this crazy war chief again."
It's funny that you say it like that, because this is gonna sound kind of weird, but you almost see, gosh, I don't want to say a mirror between Sarfang and Thrall, but you could almost argue it both seems like they left the Horde when it needed them most, but they didn't. They're the ones that are actively trying to restore honor to the Horde, and I'm glad I threw my lot in with Sarfang. What were you gonna say, Skull?
One thing that's kind of interesting is Thrall and Sarfang were the two orcs who jumped in at the opportunity to stop Garrosh in the Siege of Orgrimmar.
Mm-hmm.
Nazgrim lets them in on the other side of Orgrimmar, and they go into the Underhold to go stop Garrosh, hopefully peacefully. Of course, that's not going to work, but, Sarfang is seen fighting the Klaxi, and he gets wounded, and he goes back to the rebels, but the can't talk. And then, Thrall challenges Garrosh, not to a Makara, but just to a fight, and, Garrosh kicks his ass because Garrosh has been weakening the connection to the elements on purpose. You see all those dark shamans all around Southern Barrens and Northern Barrens and Orgrimmar. Garrosh did that on purpose to weaken Thrall, and that's very smart of Garrosh, for one thing. But Thrall and Sarfang were the first ones to jump at the rebellion when Vol'jin started it, and now potentially it's the same with Bane. Bane starting this rebellion, and Sarfang and Thrall are joining in on it in this very similar fashion. Which a lot of people are gonna be like, it's Garrosh 2.0 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was fun. Like, I know it's like, it's Garrosh 2.0, blah 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 blah. I'm like, well, I loved that storyline, so I wouldn't complain.
Same.
I'd honestly be okay with it too, especially at this point, the way the storyline's gone. I don't think this is gonna sound crazy. I thought Garrosh deserved like anti-hero redemption in some way, shape, or form. Not deserved, but I thought it would have been a cool direction for him. However, I do not want Sylvanas to get any redemption after what she's done to the Horde. Especially...
Go ahead.
Oh no, just especially after everything she's done, like I think the stuff she's done is actually worse than stuff that Garrosh has done at this point.
Yeah, it's one thing I really wish they'd have gone at length with is Garrosh's thoughts, because I'm pretty sure I praised this before in another video of yours, but that speech he had with Vol'jin and Krasarang, I always bring that up, but really I do wish if they'd have shown that side of him more, people would have been okay with having a hard-ass leader like him, I guess you would say. Because he's somebody that doesn't take any nonsense, he's not willing to put up with, you know, I guess traitors, there's another word for it, but insubordination. And he'd be willing to stop at nothing to see the Horde prosper. Like, you know, he'd be willing to offend other people so long as the Horde doesn't starve.
Right. And the difference between him and Sylvanas, people used to argue that Sylvanas had the Forsaken's interest at heart. At this point, she's already proven. I mean, with Thomas Zelling and stuff, she's proven that she only has her own interests at heart now at this point, and I think that's why she doesn't deserve any sort of redemption after that.
Yeah, I mean, in the book, yeah, you see that clear as day.
Yeah.
I think the main thing why a lot of people would want a redemption with Sylvanas is she's a very popular character, and in contrast to Garrosh, while he was very loved by a lot of the player base, at the time when Garrosh was war chief, not a lot of people liked him. A lot of the people who were Alliance, of course, didn't like him because he was taking their land and cities and, you know, blowing up Theramore. That was a big reason why a lot of the Alliance player base hated Garrosh. And then you have the Horde player base where you had Garrosh calling Sylvanas a bitch, Garrosh alienating the Pandaren and saying, nope, you gotta kill your family. I don't care, you gotta kill your family. And the orcs themselves, to a degree, you kind of had like the civilians being used as meat shields if they disagreed with Garrosh, which is pretty messed up. Like, they were like, we don't want to do this. Our orphans are in danger. Our children are in danger. This is our home. This is our city. And you're using us as meat shields because we disagree with you and the war chief. You know, got the Tauren. You had, you know, Garrosh is the one that killed Karen. That was enough to kind of tick them off. But he also was like buddy-buddy with Magatha for a short bit. And the whole thing with Cliffwalker. Although Garrosh, at least back then in Stone Talon, he was trying to remedy what he did. But, you know, different writers, different story. You know, he became a hypocrite by using a bomb to destroy Theramore.
Right.
Goblins, he kind of just spat in their face when they joined the Horde. He was like, you're gonna be useful, I guess.
He didn't treat his allies with any respect, and that was his big problem.
He tried to get Vol'jin assassinated. The list goes on. Oh yeah, and he also used the Blood Elves as a, you know, just as, again, as tools. He used the Horde races as tools. The only race he kind of put above everyone else was the Orcs. But again, the stuff with the civilians and other stuff and veterans and Sarfing and Thrall, like, and Eitrig too. He almost killed Eitrig. And G Firepaw as well. That's important in this channel. Of course it's important. But the whole thing with Garrosh is he really did a number on making people dislike him. And I think in comparison, Sylvanas is being a little bit more careful, and a lot more people like her. They've had years to like her. She's been a character since 2002, and Garrosh has been a character since 2007. So they've got a 5-year difference in how long they've been active and involved in the game. And Sylvanas has always had this rabid, huge player base that loves her, and I think a lot of people would get very angry if she dies or doesn't get a redemption arc or etc. I personally think that she doesn't deserve a redemption arc after all she's done, but if they somehow flip the script and show us what she was planning and it's actually a good intention for the Horde, then I guess there is, you know, room there for her to remain as a leader of the Horde, but not as war chief. She can't be war chief anymore after this. That's proven. I hope.
Oh, sorry,
go
I didn't
ahead.
interrupt you. No, I like what you're saying in that aspect. If they flip the script and they somehow show that she had a good intention for the Horde. But one thing I wanted to mention about Sylvanas and the fan base is I think Blizzard is trying to be careful what they do with her because of that. I mean, for example, Jackie, she started playing WoW and Legion. Like, she's never done anything related to the franchise, anything. You know who her favorite character is?
Sylvanas.
Yep.
Gammon.
Gammon, yeah. When she started playing, she told me, she's like, I really like Sylvanas Windrunner. She's a cool character. But, like, it does go to show her appeal. I mean, especially to the general audience. I know a lot of people that still do like Sylvanas Windrunner a lot.
I mean, I know a lot of ladies because my sister really likes Sylvanas. But ladies in general, they gravitate towards a female character. Males do too, of course, because they look pretty and etc. But female people, they generally gravitate towards a female character.
Mhm.
They resonate with them. I personally, at this point in time, if you're Alliance, resonate with Jaina. There's a lot of Alliance female leaders, thankfully, but on the Horde there was only ever really Sylvanas. But you have Talanji now. I personally think I'm not telling people that they have to do this, but if you're looking for a female character to look up to, Talanji is a really great character to look at and be like, wow, I lost a parent. I'm dealing with that grief. I'm dealing with people not listening to me. Family troubles, elders telling me what to do, being right when everyone tells you that you're wrong, basically, is what Talanji had to deal with, and she became queen because she opposed people like that. She spoke out, and I personally think Talanji is a really great female leader. I'm not saying Sylvanas isn't either. She was during Wrath of the Lich King, but now she's kind of fallen from grace in my eyes, and it's becoming harder to like her and defend her. I still like her to a degree, but I like her like I like Deathwing or the Lich King. I like her because she's an antagonist, not because she's a hero.
I like how she stirs things up kind of like in that same Garrosh way.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Well, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead, Kai.
I was gonna say I was gonna say it might be controversial, but I actually do like Sylvanas as a character. I just don't like her as leader of the Horde.
Yeah, that's
It
a big
feels-
one.
It feels like a character break for the Horde itself. How we kind of smiled and played along for so long, and we didn't really see much resistance, especially initially at first. Like, we had just defeated the freaking Legion. We were just working alongside these people who were now invading and killing without mercy. And, like, it took way too long to emphasize any sort of remorse or hesitation about what they're doing. And it even still, and to many people, it just looks like we're still just kind of smiling along and going with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like the Horde has either one, gone through a complete character shift, which feels like a complete retcon of what the Horde actually is, which I know they're kind of backtracking on now, because they're like, okay, well, you've got Sarfang, and he's kind of leading the old honorable Horde that is like, okay, this isn't good. But in game, it feels like we weren't portrayed that way. It felt like we were just totally on board, butchering, slaughtering. I mean, look at the pre-patch. Jeez, look at what all we did in the pre-patch before burning
Yeah.
the tree. Like,
I'll be
that was
honest.
bad.
I had a lot of fun in the pre-patch. Like, I liked the story that it was telling, but it really would have been great if we had more moments of character choice. I did like this is kind of sad, but the books that they gave us, the little books that you can read online for free, I haven't read them completely, but I know most of the story from them. The booklets and the quests are completely different. Like, not completely, but like they tell a completely different story to what we're told. Like, instead of Sarfang like being like, this is dishonorable, I can't kill Malfurion because I struck him in the back. Instead, basically what happens is Alun stops Sarfang from killing Malfurion or something. It's like,
Right.
I prefer the one in the game, honestly. Like, Saurfang being the one that's like, no, I'm not gonna do this. This is wrong. Instead of some goddess intervening, like it feels more OP to have a god intervene instead of a man in his own decisions.
Plus, if that was the case, why would he still feel that way? Why would he still feel remorseful?
Right.
Balloon interference that made him feel that way. Why would he now be like, not be like, you know, hey, screw those night elves.
I feel, and like Saurfang during the quest was like, we're not gonna kill civilians. We're gonna get them out of here. Like he grabbed the civilians, he would question them what's going on, and then he would free them. That was what was told to us in the quest. And I believe that's what Saurfang intended. But in the book, I don't think the book says that. Again, I haven't read the book, and if it does, I would sound like a dummy. I haven't read the books completely yet, and as far as I know, the books and the quests are completely different because they were written differently at the time, I guess. But
that's odd that they would tell the same story in a different way, I guess.
And like they have a better reason why Tyrande wasn't present. I don't remember that reason completely because I'm not really good at my alliance lores, but it's that's like a complete sidetrack. But like,
oh gosh, we could do a whole episode on Tyrande.
Sylvanas is really just that tricky character, and I think Blizzard is really, they don't want to tick people off. But at the end of the day, I think that Blizzard needs to realize that they can't please everybody, and either you please the good portion. I don't know if they're keeping track of what side you're choosing. I feel like that's a smart thing that they should do. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the majority of people are on the side of Saurfang and Thrall, and obviously the Alliance are against Sylvanas. I don't know why they would be in the support of Sylvanas. That would be weird.
Unless they're like this like inner coup in the Alliance or something.
They're masochists.
I don't like Anduin Wrynn is High King of the Alliance.
I want Sylvanas to be the leader of the Alliance. I want to be undead.
Oh gosh.
Man, I'm so sad that we don't have Varian to deal with her, to be honest. I feel like that would have been such a good battle. It feels so anticlimactic to have it as Anduin, like, kind of cowering in the corner.
But I think that's kind of the point to have Anduin having to deal with Sylvanas, because he has to live up to that expectations. Like, he's probably thinking in his head, my father would have dealt with this way, but he can't think like that because he's not his father.
Yes.
And, bringing up the topic of why the Horde is taking so long, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of the Horde that would speak up usually are dead or MIA. Like Saurfang, he was the one that spoke up first when Sylvanas was starting to use the Blight and the Plague, and he got imprisoned, and then he nearly got assassinated. Thrall was in Nagrand, as we were saying here, as you know, the cinematic clearly shows.
Vol'jin's dead now.
Vol'jin's dead and a ghost, and he's dealing with his own crap of, you know, apparently some higher being wanted Sylvanas to be in charge. And, you know, you finally had Bane speak up recently, and he got, you know, in prison for it, too. So, like, all the characters who are probably going to speak up are getting penalized, or they're dead. Or they're missing.
It makes you think, in a weird way, what is the Horde becoming, right?
Yeah.
I mean, with less people speaking up against actions like this.
It's why it's so important that Thrall and Saurfang are coming back, because they're the ones that were in Vol'jin's rebellion, and Vol'jin's not around anymore. So somebody has to speak up, somebody has to step up, and Anduin trusts Saurfang and Thrall to do it. Probably not. I don't think Anduin knows that Thrall's involved just yet, but I really hope we get an interaction between them, because Anduin hasn't interacted with Thrall since he was a kid.
Can we discuss the bit of dialogue at the end of the cutscene where Saurfang says to Thrall that neither of them can hide? I really, really like that line.
Oh yeah, because both of them were trying to hide too.
So good, so good. I mean, there's so many little details in that scene. Like, I really, really like. God, Blizzard's cinematics are incredible, but I love the facial expressions of Thrall when he looks at Saurfang's necklace, and then when he says he left that life behind in the Horde and stuff. Like, it's so crazy. I don't know, the detail, their faces told the story in that cutscene, honestly.
They really did. One of the things that I was talking with my mom today, we were watching the Wrathgate re-edited by IK Edits, but like the WoW story basically stuff that happens in the past, like the founding of Durotar, the Wrathgate, like small stuff like that is still important in today's lore, which I think that's really cool about WoW's story. Like stuff that happened back in 2003 is still important in 2019, 16 years ago.
It's all connected, and it's just I
Yeah.
love it.
Pretty much. It does make you wonder how long it's gonna go on for. Honest.
It sounds like they want to go for another 15 years.
Wow.
At the very
Like they
least,
were
yeah.
like they want to do that, and I'm for it. Let me go ahead and play WoW when I'm 37.
I'm cool with that.
Mhm.
I'll be in my 40s. Wow.
Holy moly!
I'll be old. So I think one thing we all need to talk about is where do you guys think Thrall's son and Agra were during this, and why do you think that Thrall wanted to hide it from Sarfang at that point?
I don't think he was particularly hiding it from Sarfang, but the fact that, I guess he knows Sarfang doesn't want specifics, or he didn't
Mhm.
really care for specifics. I think it was just kind of a.
Just like a little thing.
Yeah, like they were just kind of mutually expressing, like they're not far, but they both know why that really can't be like public knowledge of where his family is and such, because
Especially with the assassins going after Thrall, like, I mean, you never know what Sylvanas might do.
yeah, I mean he's a well-known person. Like anybody could just be like, hey, why don't we go out there, hold Thrall's, family hostage or whatever, just outright kill them to screw things up. A lot of people would want to throw in a wrench for their own reasons, even if it's villains, that don't really get much spotlight. So it's easy to see why he wouldn't want everybody knowing, where his family is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like being Batman, except he's Thrall.
The only Batman in WoW is Rexar. I have to make my Rexar comments every 5 minutes or I'll die.
I do the same with Firepaw, man. It's all good.
I haven't heard you talk about Firepaw at least in an hour, so that's a lie. But Thrall and his he actually has 2 kids now. I totally keep forgetting that because Durak was born in Mista Pandaria or after Cataclysm, either or. But Agra was pregnant in Worlds of Draenor, so she probably has had her kid by now.
Oh.
But I think that Agra, Durak, and the unnamed daughter or son, I don't know its gender, I'm assuming it's a daughter because of the vision that we saw in Bajir back during the Cataclysm Bonds quest with Thrall and Agra. I think that they were in Garadar with Great Mother Gaia and potentially the other Maghar that remained behind on Outlands. I think that there's a reason why they might have been there. They might have been in the market for getting food and supplies. They might have just been hanging out with relatives. Possibly, Joran Deadeye, the son of Kilrog Deadeye. I believe he's one of his sons. That makes sense. They might have just been hanging out in Garadar while Thrall was doing farmer's work before they got home. Or they might have just been like in a bunker somewhere. I don't know why they would be in a bunker, but you never know with Outlands. They could be hunting, they could be training Durak to be, a warrior someday or a shaman. But I think that they're in Garadar. And as far as why he hid that information from Sarfang, I brought this up either in my reaction video or a tweet. Thrall's family has not the best record of trusting people with the information of where their family is. Thrall got orphaned because of that. Like, Durotan, he told Ogrim where he was going, and Ogrim supplied him with warriors to protect him while they go to a safe location, and those warriors Ogrim supplied him with worked for Gul'dan, and they killed Draka and Durotan and left, little baby Thrall to fend for himself. And I saw this in a comment somewhere. I don't know where I saw this from, but somebody made mention that maybe Sarfang was hinting at Thrall that something was up by saying where's your family, because Thrall's expression seemed to like change in the moment he asked that, but
Yeah.
that might just be reading way too into it. Like, you never know with like codes between, because Sarfang and Thrall have known each other for years now. Like, Sarfang was Thrall's advisor, basically, letting him know how other war chiefs operated and how orcs operated, basically.
They've been through a lot together, that's for sure.
I'm hoping that Sarfang is Durak's godfather, or someone is. Maybe Rexler is. You never know. Rexler's like the only I think friend that's alive from the old days with Thrall, so you never know.
One scene I always think of with Thrall and Sarfang is the battle for Undercity at the end of it where they both talk.
Oh yeah, that's another reason why they need to do a Wrath of the Lich King server, because we can't do the battle for Undercity.
Oh, I know. It was so cool too.
That's such BS. It'd be so much fun to do that. We should have like a time walking event for that. Like, you can redo the battle for Undercity and re-experience it. Go back to old Ogremar. Oh man, old Ogremar, man.
Hey,
It's like the one thing in Classic.
It might
is
happen
better than
soon,
current
man, with
WoW.
classic servers.
I know if Classic WoW is successful, which it probably will be. Let's be fair here.
Yeah.
As much as I diss on Classic, and I'm probably gonna end up enjoying it because that's just how it works.
I will not diss on it. I love Classic, and I know it's kind of a a popular thing on current to diss on Classic, but I mean,
I thought it was,
and I get it.
as far as I know, it's popular to not diss on Classic, but that's just the grapevine I've been climbing.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it seems like. Oh, you said it's popular to not diss on Classic?
It's popular to like Classic. I've not really seen that many people diss on it, to be honest.
It might be
Most
might be my circle mostly, but then again, my circle is a bunch of current players, so they might be worried. If it gets too popular, then a lot of their friends will leave for Classic, which I don't think that will be the case. But
I
mean-
don't think that would be the case. I don't think Blizzard, because the key important thing is Blizzard's still getting money out of it if you're just playing Classic. So
yeah,
this is winning for WoW. Like, at the end of the day, Blizzard's gonna get money from people playing Classic, which is a good thing for us. More people paying for WoW means more
content.
more content, probably.
Hopefully.
I'm hoping that we get like a world revamp or something.
that's one thing I was going to mention earlier is how I feel like the game is long past for I hate to say it like this, but a Kata 2.0, because I know
Cataclysm's world is now older than Classic's world.
Yeah, I feel, and I mean, starting characters, man, whenever I started my Pandaren Hunter the other day, I was like, I'm gonna start a Pandaren Hunter, and just kind of do BGs and mess around. Getting off the Isle, then speaking to Garrosh, and then loading into a throne room with Sylvanas and Sarfang are there, like,
And then
It's
Garrosh
confusing.
is still in the
everywhere.
corner.
It's everywhere. What I think they should do to remedy that is have another, like I said, another sort of kata. However, make it separate from the old world. Make it to where you kind of like with BFA where you have to get to 110 to start your 120. Like just have this be a great whole world revamp, but it takes you all the way to whatever the max level is currently, and then you have the choice to do like old world content or current world content all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
That way you're at least on current events, and if you decide. And a good way of keeping everybody on the same page is for both factions to kind of release an exact same intro for your race either way. Maybe you're just being freshly recruited, maybe you start off at level 20. You're
That would
like,
be
hello,
perfect.
recruit, it doesn't even matter. You could be a troll. Start the same starting zone as an undead. It's just like the allied races. And just kind of have them go through the current storyline. That way you're at least not starting off on stories that began like years ago.
I think people have played WoW for so many years now too. You don't need that hand holding,
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all used to WoW. It's so confusing for new players because you basically get like either in Duratar, like Mulgar, for instance. Karen Bloodhoof has recently been killed by Garrosh Hellscream. Not recently. I don't know what you're talking about. That did not happen recently. The current war chief, Garrosh Hellscream. Okay, the new player loads in Garrosh is nowhere in sight. They had no idea who Garrosh is. They have no idea who Karen is. Like it's confusing because that's 2010. That's 10 years ago that stuff was relevant, and it's no longer relevant. And then you have like the confusing part where like Cataclysm's lore takes place after Wrath of the Lich King, and
Oh
like
my
you do
gosh.
Silverpine Forest, and like the Lich King is dead, and the Forsaken are they have this new era going on, but then you hit level 60 or hit level whatever when you want to do Wrath of the Lich King, like level 70, and you're fighting the Lich King again. It's super confusing for people.
Yeah. So that's the reason why I said I think they should just. I mean, they've already seen they're not afraid to make the climb to max level much shorter, because I mean,
Oh yeah.
I hit 60 in almost a day. Like, it takes almost no time to level through everything,
Oh,
but
it's
that
cake
shouldn't
now.
be. Yeah, I was gonna say that shouldn't really be the case. So I mean, I would say put in the same effort maybe with what they did for the questing zones in BFA, but just make that scale all the way to max. At least keep you in the current storyline and kind of avoid going that route. Like, you can optionally, do old world stuff. Like, I don't know how they could do that, but it could just be that adventuring turtle that you get. Like,
Probably have a bronze dragon, like the bronze dragon lady for every zone. Just talk to her and be like, restore this zone to its former glory in Cataclysm, because basically Classic WoW is going to be playable by that time. And you have so many phases for zones now too, so they could easily do that, I think.
yeah, it feels long past due.
The next thing I think we should talk about, Skull, you and Tom Shire, I wanted to hear your extended version of this cinematic, because I know you mentioned it to me before.
I wanted to mention this because we actually recorded this a week ago, and we were talking about stuff. This was where Kai wasn't here, but me and Tom Shire, this is gonna be probably not. I don't know how soon it's gonna be because animation takes forever, but Tom Shire, he does like 3D model animations. They're really great. I've worked with him in the past with my videos, and he's used some of my scripts for some of his videos. But we've collaborated, and we're doing an extended version of Safe Haven, of basically Sarfang going to Outlands, being informed about Bane, and then going to find Thrall because of how urgent it is now. And we'll have also a scene with Thrall and his family in Garadar, because again, that's where a lot of my belief comes from, that they were in Garadar before. And it just goes from there with the Safe Haven, and it extends a little bit with Thrall and Sarfang near the end, leaving to go save Bane and save the Horde essentially. But it's
8.2.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. I'm not going to spoil everything that's going to happen to it, but that's the point of it basically.
Nice.
Sounds fun.
That would be very cool.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited about it because I wrote the whole thing, and I have never written anything like that for a Machinima, so that's really exciting. And it'll have really cool characters in it that I love. So, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
I've seen his work. It's really impressive.
Oh yeah.
This is actually really random, but I was just watching WoW YouTube today, and I was watching his channel a bit, but that series he does, The Road to Redemption, is really, really cool.
Yeah.
I actually have to watch that. I'm terrible.
I was watching, I was like, this is dope. This is really cool. The animation's beautiful. Especially in the one he did.
He's gotten better. That's the thing that I like. Like, you can see his improvement.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it is.
So the next thing, not to change the subject, but I think we should talk about the relevancy of Outland and how it's slowly dying and how that could affect the future of WoW. So I think, Skull, I know you're going to bring up the Mok'Nathal and how they could be a potential allied race with Outland dying and them needing to potentially find a new world.
Calling me out.
I knew it was coming, man. I had to bring it up.
It's kind of obvious at this point. But, with Outlands, there's so many denizens on Outlands. You got the Ethereals, you got the Sporagar, you've got the Broken, you've got the Mok'Nathal, probably got some...
would be so good.
Oh yeah, the Broken is where I'm going to get to as well. The Broken could be a great allied race for the Alliance, especially with Akama leading them into it, because Akama's a badass. He's probably my favorite character from Burning Crusade. That's the one thing I'll say positive Burning Crusade. Akama. He was a cool character. But you definitely could have characters going from Outlands that's basically falling apart piece by piece to Azeroth, and that's where you could recruit the Broken and the Machnathal as the two pairs, and maybe a neutral allied race for the first time, the Ethereals. I think a lot of people really like the Ethereals, and that'd be cool. Obviously, the Machnathal are my favorite, and that could be Rexxar, and you could have Akama. I think it'd be great, and plus you have the Broken, who are on Argus, could potentially join in as well.
Dude, okay, so it's funny you say that because Akama was probably one of my favorite characters in Burning Crusade, but oh my god, I would play a Broken Shaman so fast if they became playable. Not gonna lie.
And something I started to think about with them. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Good.
But I was just saying, like, I know how they kind of use the rigs of other races usually, except for in the case of the Kultirans, obviously. But technically, I suddenly remembered. I was like, wait, the Broken don't use the Draenei.
They use the
Tauren.
Yep.
Yeah.
Although the Broken on Argus use the Draenei one, but I feel like if they want to go for something more unique, they should use the Tauren. And obviously, as I've stated multiple times, the Machnathal would use the Kultiran skeleton, which would be great for the Horde because we don't have that yet. And the Alliance, they'd be like, well, the Kultiran is for us. Listen, Blizzard's gonna use those rigs for everybody because they have the Zandalari and the Nightborn already both use the Night Elf. Although I've been told apparently the Darkspear Troll apparently got straightened up for the Zandalari for specific animations with them, but
oh wow,
I'm not entirely sure if that's true or not. It probably is to a degree.
Gosh, this is random, but it just hit me that Nightborn. Like, I don't know why. Like, I played a Nightborn when they came out, but the fact that like you can play them is so awesome to me nowadays. Like, it just hit me like a month or two. I was like, wait a minute. You can play the Nightborn, even though you could do that for like a year and a half now. I've been really enjoying my mage again, though. But that's a whole other story.
That's the sad thing about the allied races, though. Like, when you unlock them, like they're really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But when you unlock them, it's past their relevancy.
Yeah, honestly.
True.
That's part of what sucks about them. Is like with Pandaren and Pandaria, man. Mists of Pandaria was amazing to play as a Pandaren and RP as one if you were that sort of player. And because there was just, you could really kind of immerse yourself. Like, first hitting Pandaria whenever you're a Pandaren character was such a fulfilling thing back then. Like, it was so good.
There's only one thing about that during Pandaria, that when I played Pandaren, I thought it was kind of funny. That quest where Lorewalker Cho asks about your history, I always feel like he's always like sounds really excited when you're like, oh, you're an orc, you did this or whatever. Then he's like, oh, a Pandaren. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I always like that though.
You're no stranger to your homeland.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I wish he did that for Alliance races too, but
I know, right?
That would have been. I actually found that out later on when I was leveling Alliance. I was like, when do we get that quest?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't? Oh, okay. Rip.
Whoops. Yeah. Kind of sucks. But hey.
So
rather have something than nothing at all.
The last thing I want to talk about on this episode is, where do we think we're going to go with this storyline from here in future patches of Battle for Azeroth? Because I think, obviously, for those of you who don't want spoilers from 8.2, we're definitely going to get into some here. But, so just click off right now if you don't want to hear.
That's why I saved it for last.
Perfect. It's perfect timing. And so essentially what ends up happening at 8.2, Thrall, Sarfang, Jaina, Rokon, and Rex... I don't know if... Was Rexxar there?
Rexxar is not there. It's a sad day for everyone.
So Rexxar was not there, confirmed. They essentially go to bust Bane out of Orgrimmar, and from what it looks like, they do succeed. And I think this is the start of the Honorable Horde rebellion against Sylvanas Windrunner. Where she's going with her endgame and how the rebellion's going to play into the storyline. And we also have Lorthamar and Thalyssra that are definitely on Team Honor at this point. as well as a few other characters that we could talk about. But where do you guys think Sylvanas' endgame is with this, and how do you think the rebellion's going to play into the last patch of 8 of BFA? Because we're going to be going into some interesting territory here with Enzoth. The other thing, too, I don't know if Ajara is going to be killed. I mean, 8-3, I think, is literally going to be the battle for Azeroth, as the expansion's titled. But what do you guys think? Like, do you think we're going to end up picking sub-factions? Because that would be such a fun patch, man, if there was like a bunch of little different factions you could pick, kind of like the Aldor and the Scryers, like you said, Kai, on last week's episode.
Yeah, that's where I'm hoping it'll go. To be truthful, I'm really hoping that we're gonna see the end of just the being limited to only 2v2 or one team versus the other team battlegrounds. Having to deal with racial imbalances. Never being able to be on the other side. Like, it's dividing half your player base, like being able to actually choose decisions that have a bit more depth than red versus blue. Being able to choose, like, ideologically, which factions you like, or even just aesthetically. Like if it was like the Aldor and Scryers were in current day WoW, and like they had a bunch of cosmetic rewards, like maybe armor sets or something that you can unlock by getting to max rep with them and stuff. Like, that would be so cool. Like, and it's a great way to expand on, I guess you would say, player agency. Like, making your characters feel unique again. Because right now, I could boost a character that's a Pandaren warrior and make it look like Qingtao, and pretty much he'd be the same thing as Qingtao.
Right.
But it's those character choices you make, like the Aldor versus Scryers thing, just as a small example, that they could expand on and make those mini examples, a bunch of different factions over time. Maybe they're just small, minor reps with some storylines, but still, they, like I said, they add a lot to, I guess, making your character an actual character. But yeah,
that's something that's been lacking from WoW for many years. Like, I really, really like the 8.1 quest line because of that player choice you get against Sylvanas Windrunner, and it made me feel a lot better about where my character stands in all this. So I definitely agree with that. I think choosing a side would be really, really good, and I think they're going to keep going that with the light and void and life stuff coming up. I think 8.3 is going to be like a test to that with all the stuff that's been going on in BFA. What about you, Skull?
On the topic of the light and the void, I honestly hope they don't do that, because I don't like either side. But
I don't either.
That's my whole piece on that. That thing of you get to choose between the light and the void. I don't like either, y'all. I want to stay with the Horde.
Yeah,
agreed.
It's like one of those things where it's like, can I choose neither? There's an option for you, Blizzard. Be like, choose neither.
Also, Lightforged Draenei and Void Elves are the two most illegal races in the game. I was kidding.
They're illegal.
They are pretty illegal.
With Sylvanas and her endgame, one of the things that is really concerning to me is the fact that if you do choose, for whatever reason, I don't know why you would, but there are Sylvanas fans out there. If you do choose the Sylvanas path of supporting Sylvanas, and like being a double agent for Bane, or against Bane, I should say. Nathanos says, "I can't believe we have to let this is like the summarized version, or it's paraphrased, or whatever the right wording is. But Nathanos is like, I can't believe we have to let them get away, but this is all part of Sylvanas' plans or whatever. And you're just gonna have to wait for the final, thing that she's gonna ask us to do." That's concerning to me, and I'm not sure what that's going to bring. Is that going to mean a lot of dead characters? Are we gonna get Game of Thrones? Because I don't want Sylvanas to win. I don't want Sylvanas to kill beloved characters all off because, muhaha, here's my end game. Here is my Nathanos moment. I mean, Thanos moment. Their names are similar, but I don't want Sylvanas to snap the characters unless they can be brought back, like in a certain movie. I really hope that's not what happens, personally, but I really hope that we do get a rebellion again. The rebellion for RP players was probably the greatest moment on Warmest Accord that I experienced. That's when I joined that was when I joined Warhammer Core. That's the first thing I experienced on the server, and it was great. You had Horde versus the Kor'kron.
Oh
You had
yeah.
it, and you had finally that moment where you could challenge those RPers, because prior to that, Kor'kron would make you kneel. Kor'kron would make you die if you would oppose Garrosh.
Oh,
But this
wow.
was people's moment where they could oppose them. And I
Yeah.
feel like we really need that.
It was so cool. Yeah, I did it on. I was on Moonguard at the time, which was really not as bad as the reputation Moonguard has. But man, it was a blast. I really loved like seeing, like you said, the Kor'kron RPers like all being in Orgrimmar. You've got
Oh,
all
yeah.
these, and then like how Razor Hill was the de facto RP hub for the time. If you weren't like with Garrosh and all that stuff, like that was player choice, even though we couldn't really convey it in game, because if you sided with Garrosh, obviously you couldn't actually express that in your character.
No.
But
It's like you're
That
still
was
coming to the siege.
We had aftermath of like Kor'kron getting executed by Vol'jin's horde, or they they were getting imprisoned or something. Some of them would disavow and become rebels at the end or something. Like
yeah,
you would have reasons why your characters are still alive. Basically, some of them are still like, I miss Garrosh, and they're public about it. It's like, you're dumb.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But I would welcome the rebellion, but I wonder if Blizzard's just going to skip that altogether and just be like, nope, N'Zoth is here. You guys have to unite. No rebellion's going to happen. I think that would be a bad choice.
I get the
know
feeling that's what we're gonna get to.
it might happen. I know some people also think that Sylvanas is just going to nope out of there before anything bad happens to her, which is also possible because Blizzard was like, she's not going to let people get her, like War Crimes book was. Like, she's not going to let people bind her in shackles and carry her to Pandaria for her crimes.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm curious what her end game is. I'm curious if it will benefit the Horde or Azeroth, because I know one thing that some people think that's going to happen, and I don't know if anyone's watched this anime, but in Code Geass, a character, the spoilers for that anime, I guess, it's very old now, but the main character, Lelouch, he has the world believe he is this terrible person, and they unite against him. And he makes the world peaceful by doing this, by being this piece of shit. And all he wants is this world where his sister to be comforting and gentle, and he has to die to make this world happen, but he doesn't. And I wonder if that's what they're going to do with Sylvanas. Are they going to make Sylvanas unite the Alliance and Horde together so that they can front any force that can try to take Azeroth? Because that would be a very interesting way to say goodbye to Sylvanas. She knows she has to die to bring the Horde and Alliance together, which would be really weird for her character. But I know some people think that she's going to become like a goddess of death, like Halia or something, so she can still help out in death or something. I don't know.
That would be really. I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, see, that's the thing is, I think that is the route they're gonna do. I think she says it's like, think about the world that is to come. I think that they're gonna do some weird thing where she's gonna be a kind of demigod or the lord of her own realm, sort of like Helia, or I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe it has to do with
something.
Vol'jin dying too and needing her in death. I don't know. That's interesting.
Would it be good to have all three people get what they want? Sylvanas still active, the Horde brought back to the way it was, the Alliance get to, kill Sylvanas with the Horde, and I don't know. Is that what they're gonna do? Are they gonna make everybody happy, or are they just gonna make some people happy? It's one of those things where it's like,
I think it's a risky thing for them to do either way. I think I think in the long term, to not make the story just seem weird, the best thing for them to do would just to be to kill her. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people love her. I like her as a character, but again, I don't like her as the leader. But I would say the safest thing they could do in the long run, because at first it's going to be bad, but in the long run, they should kill her off. That's just my opinion. I think it'll.
I think it's going to advance the story somehow. There's one thing that people were talking about too, related, and that's that something. I forget what it was, but it was like N'Zoth whispered to Vol'jin to make Sylvanas war chief, So essentially the whole world would turn on her and kill her because death is what would counter the void.
Yeah.
And a pretty dark ending would be if we found that out after we killed her or something, and then, the void, all the old gods start rising and stuff, and then we lose our counter to them. That would be pretty messed up.
Yeah, I mean, it is true, technically, that actually, it might have been... I think that might have been what I read, was kind of a gone out of control. The Forsaken were resistant to shadow corruption. That might be legitimate. I don't know.
That
It
would
was
be a
quite
really
long...
interesting theory, I think, if that was what happened.
Mm-hmm. It was so long ago. I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on the subject. I don't know. Like Skull said earlier, I don't want her taking people out with her because that should have happened with Legion. Legion should have been the expansion that killed a bunch of characters off, gave them their heroic endings and tragic deaths. The Legion was the enemy for so long, and like they didn't do the damage they really should have. And then to have, like, Sylvanas has done pretty much more damage than the Legion has just by burning down Teldrassil.
Yeah, they
It was
kind of
just
have.
terrible. And like, if she does that, she's got to be some kind of demigod or something like that to top the Legion, I guess you would say, on damages done to the world. So, I don't know. I do think that that's what they're gonna do with her. She's gonna be out to get some kind of big power, or be immortal in some way, or have a realm of her own. That's what I personally think they'll do with her. I don't think they'll kill her. But I don't know.
I think she's
Maybe
gonna
not.
get away somehow.
Yeah, she'll use her sonic ree and get out of there, like burst through the roof again. Like,
Nah,
you've won nothing, ree. She's gone.
Nathanos would be a character I'd be interested about after all that.
Yeah. I
But
don't know who would lead the Forsaken in her stead, though.
either I would
'Cause
I would say maybe, I don't know about Voss, but
I would maybe Fall. Alonso's Fall. I don't think he would, but
that would be
You know,
interesting. That could be even an interesting story arc, as the Forsaken struggling to find leadership without the Banshee Queen, essentially. You know what I mean?
yeah. Again, I don't think Fall would be a good choice. I know some people are like, it'll be Nathanos. I don't think that'll be the case unless they have some weird thing where he's being mind controlled or something, which I don't think is the case.
The only way I could see Nathanos being it is if he, backs down and like tries to stop Sylvanas at the end. Like, he's like, I'm sorry for what I've done. I've got to redeem what she's done. Because there is like inklings of Nathanos' doubt shown in the cinematics.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
I
like
have
this
noticed that.
moment when Nathanos became more human-like, when the Valkyr brought him back by killing his cousin or whatever. He has doubt. He has more emotion than Sylvanas does that are more human-like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with Nathanos being the leader if they could make it seem
If they could
possible,
make
but
it
at
work.
the moment, it
Yeah.
seems like he just licking her boots.
No, yeah. At this moment, he's Malkarok, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I would choose anyone, I would choose Kalia Menethil or Lillian Voss. I lean more toward the Lillian Voss right now because they haven't done enough with Kalia Menethil. She hasn't been brought back into the game just yet, which I'm assuming they're going to give her some unique Lightforged undead model.
I highly, personally, highly disagree with Kalia because of one very significant reason, and that is because it would kind of put the Forsaken she would try to instill a positivity with the Alliance in the Forsaken. Like,
I feel like that would happen, and I feel like a lot of the Forsaken would disagree with her. But it would be a tone shift, Like,
yeah.
Sylvanas has always opposed with working with the Alliance, and she hates them. But when it comes to Kalia, she knows them. She's friends with Anduin.
Yeah, I completely get what you're saying there. I think Lillian would be an interesting choice, but I think the only way she could possibly work up to that level of station, because it doesn't seem to me she really has any precedent in taking over leadership for the Forsaken. I would say that's something they could build up to with her, like right now. Next patch, they could be like, maybe she's starting a small, I guess you would say, coup in the Undercity, kind of trying to sway minds against, which I don't
They would
yeah,
need
she
more
would
build
probably
up
get
for her to take over, I think, right
Yeah.
now. I agree with that.
She'd have to
Maybe what
spearhead
they're
some
gonna,
kind of thing.
what they're doing with character, like I know with the Dark Spears, they haven't chosen a leader yet, so maybe
Yeah.
they're gonna wait a while and develop.
Rokan would
Yes.
be pretty badass.
Horde.
I think Rokan's like the most obvious choice right now, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's the only pivotal Dark Spear character who's doing a lot, and he's the one that brings in the Zandalari to the Horde.
Oh
Am
yeah,
I
he
the only one
is. I think he gives the quest, if I remember.
Yeah, he is.
So I think this would be a good point for us to stop this episode. Do you guys have anything else you want to say, where people can contact you or anything?
Nah.
I have a Twitter and a YouTube channel.
Skull Shorties, check them out. And Kai?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still just at Jakai on Twitter right now. I don't really know if I would be the sort to make my own YouTube channel, but maybe I'll give it a go one. If you guys think I'm interesting enough. Never know.
Do it.
I second that.
Do
You
it.
should do it.
I don't know if I have the skills for it, but hey,
Hey, you're doing it right now, man.
yeah.
But anyway, guys, thank you guys for being on today, as usual. I really appreciate it. It wouldn't be the Kun-Lai Campfire without you guys. Even though
Hell
we
yeah.
left the summit this episode to go to Negrand.
I was gonna say, it's not the Kun-Lai. It's not the Kun-Lai Campfire without Kun either. Hey,
There's a campfire somewhere out there. It's existing.
it's the Kun-Lai Spirit Campfire tonight.
The Outland Campfire.
I mean, Ashigun does bring in spirits, so you know.
Yeah,
Wink, wink.
there
nudge,
you go. Channeling the spirit of Kun-Lai here.
Somehow, we're gonna bring Pandaria to Outlands. That's how we're gonna restore it. Confirmed.
You could not live with your own
fix it
failure.
I'll tell you what, they'll probably make some amazing that rotted wheat or whatever from the cinematic anyway. I'm telling you, don't underestimate a Pandaren cooking skills.
Yeah. Broken wheat.
They'll figure it out. I promise. And beer.
But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
But yeah.
Ciao.